Okay, pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Everyone's still ready for agenda. I would entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve the agenda.
So second.
Deb moves, Gina seconds, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Delegations, visitors, communications, and public comments. I have a public comment form from Amy Bitter. Go ahead, Amy.
So I'm just here mainly tonight to ask for, just a little more communication on the activities funds and mainly, just for my own happiness, just to know how that's gonna work with, the seniors and graduation. We did have a meeting with the superintendent, and did ask for that meeting, but I haven't heard anything back, and I hope to have that sometime soon, just so we know what it looks like for our kids. And like I said in that meeting too, like, communication through a huge change that happened with those activities funds and the classes and the houses and all of that. I think communication between parents and board members and students and staff would have been, I know for my sake, would have been just easier to transition into that huge change and maybe a little more knowledgeable, so that if somebody did come and ask me, like my kids are like, what are we gonna do? Then they would know and I would know. And just before the change happens, just some communication so we all know and are all on the same page before a huge change. And then just interested in what the defunct accounts were. We talked about Spanish Net BLA. $7,200 is a lot of money from what account to what account, and maybe I don't need to know that. But just interested, and I think the kids are interested in what that all looks like too. I know the kids had a meeting with Mrs. Betts, where I was told that they could have spoke up, but they didn't feel like they could. And both of my kids are very, yeah, they speak their mind, especially my daughter. So I think they had questions about it. The email explained it a little bit. I didn't get the email. I don't know if they ever found out why. So just more communication throughout that process would have been amazing. And I thought that a meeting would be a great thing for the senior parents to have. So we are all on the same page and everybody knows what's going on and how graduation is going to get funded and, you know, what it looks like. Because I honestly didn't think that the email clarified enough for me as a mom of a senior. And I think that's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
I don't have any other public comment. Do we have anything else? I'm not sure. Would have any cards or anything like that? No. Cell phones. Hey. Next order of business is a house presentation.
Alicia Oski, Sam Grove,
Mandy Buchanan.
Hi, we're the leaders of House Co-op. I'm Alicia Oski, Sam Grove.
Mandy Buchanan. For the month of September, Koa House decorated the Panther and multi-purpose room. We also introduced Koa and the Cub House system at the community lunch. And later this month, we're going to be sponsoring Reading Buddies and House Active.
Our community, 6 houses White Falls captures the heart of who we are as a school community. Though we were divided into 6 unique houses, each with their own values, principles, and traditions, we come together as one united family under the care of God. This year, we added the 2 Cook houses, rooted in tradition, both ancient and modern. The system provides a sense of belonging and pride while encouraging leadership, teamwork, and service. Mentorship is the cornerstone of our house system, offering students meaningful opportunities to lead, guide, and work together. In our structured model, each elementary clubhouse is paired with 3 separate control houses. Mentors. Creating a strong foundation for consistent supportive relationships. Older students serve as mentors, modeling character, leadership, and school pride, while younger students gain positive role models to inspire confidence.
On our semester certificate, we represent generosity, the act of being kind, selfless, and generous. Our roots are intertwined. The collection represents strength and resilience. Our colors red from the Vulcan grass. We are courageous. We are bold. We are brave. We are learning. We are disciplined. We are fear.
We are warriors.
We show respect for more than ancestors. We show respect for our youth. We have steady hearts.
Our core value in COA is generosity. Let's see what our house has to say about this.
Be generous means to give more to others than is to give more to others than. So if you have a lot of things, more than you need, you can give more. You see a person who needs things, you could give them more than they need, and that's pretty much it. Good job.
Doesn't mean to be generous.
So there are things to be generous is to give something to somebody, like if they in a hospital, or if they're like in a hospital. That's what I love to these to make things nice and respectful. That can make it be generous. I know that's right. Someone says that. That's right. Good job.
We regret that we were unable to attend in person to present our video. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Thank you.
Very good.
Awesome. Yes, I wish they were here in person, but
Well, I was at the community
That's great.
lunch and it was really neat to see it live and see the little faces. They were so excited.
that's
Me
awesome.
jumping and just, I'm gonna come up there, I'm gonna come up there. A lot of parents were there too. And so that was nice to see their parents as well supporting it.
That's great.
Mhm.
More comments?
Show. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So cute. Have you heard from elementary parents?
I haven't heard from parents on that yet.
It's fun. Awesome.
We did have one new student that was housed yesterday. He was pretty excited.
Awesome.
He ended up in Meraki.
How are you housing them?
Mr. B changed the logos on the wheel. So
Okay.
it would be every other one was Koa Meraki. And smart man.
Okay. Cool. So that's what you're using now instead of the.
Instead of darts. Yeah.
Cool.
And every month, one of the houses is gonna present at community lunch.
It's the idea.
Yeah, maybe Mr. Hughes will lead that.
And
Morocco.
I think here too, certainly I think the 7-12 houses would probably have a higher likelihood of making it to do their presentation. Getting the elementary students here. So
Right,
Yeah. So big ask.
and Mr. B said that Meraki would be the last ones to present this year.
yeah,
So we'll start out with the Cup House and the Cup House.
Cool. Yeah, it's fun. It's so fun to see them so excited.
Be so brave to be the first ones. I mean,
Yeah.
go COA.
Okay, next on the agenda is just reviewing board policies, leadership governance policies. I didn't see any big changes on any of those. Did I miss something?
pretty simple.
Straightforward.
Board leadership governance policies, personnel and student services. Was there anything? Okay, administrative reports. Anybody here? Mr. Board? Was there any questions or comments on any of the other administrative reports? Okay, moving on, Mr. Rohr.
All right. So expenditures for the month of August. So we'll start off with the general fund overall expenditure, which was $243,850.48. Again, now that school is in session, we can make our first this August payroll was our first payroll for the teachers contracts and everybody back to work. So full payroll. And then next would be the administrative. The red is the instructional support, which is a little less than 10,000. And transportation. Most of a lot of this you'll see as we break it down how that was expended. So first we'll start with instruction. So payroll, the total amount for instructional, $130,210. Payroll was a little over 115, almost 115,000, and then other expenses a little over 8,000. So with that, through the first 2 months, we have 92.78% of that budget remaining. Right, next is instructional support, which expensed about $9,819. Which now leaves that budget with 93.86%. Administration, $47,214. It's breakdown between administration, business office, and school board. So again, administration is the superintendent and the assistant principal plus few other things, but not that this month. That would count was that just those two. So at this point, 81.53% of that budget remains. Okay, maintenance, spent a little over $52,402. So payroll, miscellaneous expenses was a little 30,000. Utilities about 5,000. So at this point, we've expended a little over $100,000. We have 69% of that budget remaining. Transportation expended $11,500.90. Again, breakdown between payroll, fuel, and other expenses. So at the end of August, 93.75% of that budget remains. Wellness, we spent $646.96 for some up and coming awards or awards for recognitions. So at this point, there's 94.61% of that budget remaining. No transfers, so we have 100% of that. The breakdown of that again is how much we budgeted and where we budgeted it to. So overall, as of the end of August, the first 2 months of the fiscal year, we've spent $404,600.78. Again, breakdown, we've expended about a little over 10% of our budget. Revenues for this month, for this last month, August, we did get our first foundation payment, which was $403,400.97. Special ed reimbursement was $31,017.27. Our local taxes was $9,049.16. So it's a little over $443,000. Moving on to our other funds. Lunch fund, we expended $5,589.89. And getting back into the swing of things, so food purchase was a dominating factor there as we started the year. Payroll wasn't too much this month. I'll just bounce check that because it was mostly partial. Not much of food service was in that pay period because school hadn't started. So me and Cindy and Harvey were still working in maintenance. So that will change. So school lunch at this point is 95.52% of that budget remaining. Major maintenance repairs, we had spent $30,722.20. At this point, we have 66.32% of that budget. Again, just those projects that we were working on in the summer, we're finally getting those finished up and getting those paid. School housing was $11,740 or $7,704, which was either the roof or the siding. Roof for Ellen Rod's rental. So we have 76.51% of that budget remaining. No expenditures for depreciation reserve in August, so we still have 100% of that budget remaining. Capital construction is got some more work done on the water filter project at $15,593. And then capital appropriation security funding, which is what the new intercom for the front door is. So that was a little over 17,000. Then, so at this point, we have 82.62% of that budget remaining. And our last fund will be our special revenues, which this are grants, which we expended $31,402.26. There's a breakdown of the different grants and how much funding will be used during the month of August. So we have 74.45% of that budget remaining. And any questions?
Thank you.
Mr. Rohr, did we get the Suburban sold?
Yes. We just started the process. They have all the paperwork's been signed and sent to Johnson County. Money's been, I think, the Boston transferred, if I remember right. And so they just need to come pick them up.
Just short of 9 each.
Yeah.
One went like 53 and the other one 36.
That money goes back to which fund, or do we have to pay off the vehicle towards the vehicle?
It usually goes back into the general fund. Transportation. There's some rules there. I think we're fine. We're going to use those to help pay for the new ones that are coming in just about a week or two. the other two. So, yeah, all of those.
What about an update on the rate?
That closed August 26th. And received payment 27th. Today's day, 7th. Even though I waited around for 1 hour to get that. As we speak.
And wait around for a whole hour to get it. Didn't get it, so we have to get it the next day.
Yeah. I guess it was a matter of wire time.
See what I wire put up. That's fun. Okay, any other questions for Mr. Rohr? Alrighty, we'll move right into purchases exceeding 5,000. Do you want to summarize with each?
First one, Apex Mechanical for 15,593. As Mr. Rohr spoke, that was some finishing up of the water filtration project. This one surprised me this month, not for the fact that the bill existed, but just that it was here. That work was done a while ago, so I think it just took the company a while to bill us. So that was done probably in June, so just getting that one paid. Next one, Lee Heating, Cooling and Refrigeration was work done through our refrigeration systems in kitchen service, as well as ice makers, et cetera, around the building, getting everything back to a working order, cleaned, ready for the year. Long Building, 8190 is some continued work on getting just HVAC system back to hopefully operable state where we can stop having bills like that show up. Premier Speakers Bureau is a utilization of our Waddell grant and bringing in some PD for teachers with for literacy and writing and vocabulary next month. Seasonal services at 21,435 was a sprinkler project, just getting that paid out. And Why Not Print was the painting around the building. Decorative painting, not the wall paint.
Did, they get, is the sprinkler system done and
Sprinkler system's done and working. They did finish up and then there was a couple hiccups. They came back out, did some more work on a pump, fixed a couple things. I think since then, we're probably a month and a half out from last time they were here and everything's been operating really well. Mr. Buss has that in his report this month that you can tell it with the landscaping that things have been getting quite a bit more water than they had the last couple of years. And
he's happy with the way it's working?
I think so.
What feedback have you gotten on the printing?
Everybody that's,
Yeah.
everybody that's been in has really liked it. We had really good feedback at the house party. Everybody just kind of coming in and giving first reflections. Panther claws in here have been, people just appreciate having some color. I've had people comment from other schools across the valley that they wish that their school didn't look like a prison, that it could have some color like ours.
Any questions? Do we need to? Let's go over this. Do we need to? Okay. Next item is accountability data.
I wanted to share the state released the accountability data publicly on August 27, maybe somewhere in there. And I was able to take part this year. The state superintendent asked me to present statewide at their press conference. She identified our district as one that had shown, I think, probably the most growth within the area of literacy, which excited me for the fact that that's been our target area for the last couple of years. And as we've seen in presentations here, the cycle by which we tend to see improvement is that 3-year adoption cycle and implementation. This was year 3, and I think that start to really show, and I would only anticipate that we continue to see growth in that area. I'm excited as well as we saw a little bit of a gap this year where would have had our expectations for math. Math is lagging that process a couple of years. I'm excited that our teachers have shown quality implementation, and I think that it'll play out to same pattern that we'll see there too. This is a report that is provided in the district each year that basically gets down to a point of where we're at with regard to the school accountability model. And it's showing that we're meeting expectations of the state. There's 4 rating categories. One's exceeding expectations, one meeting, one's not meeting, and one's partially meeting. So we are at a spot meeting expectations. That is where we have been for the last 4 years. And breaking that down a little bit into the categories, achievement is a category that just measures how our students perform on the WITOP test. You can see that for grades 3 to 8, we're meeting the target that the state sets for us right now. At the high school level, we are below target with our WITOP scores. And at the federal level, we're scoring at an average level. Growth is an indicator within the accountability model that measures how our students' scores did from last year to this year. So making sure that regardless of where they were last year, they're demonstrating growth at both the 3-8 level and the high school level. We're meeting our target for growth, and we're above average at the federal level. Our equity measure, this measure takes a look at the students who performed in the bottom 20% and puts those into a group, and then takes a look across the state at how we did at growing our bottom 20% compared to how other districts may have done growing their bottom 20%. And that's a spot. Clearly, we've been working hard within our interventions and other things to get there, and we're exceeding target for equity and above average at the federal level. Next one is graduation and credential. This is looking at a 4-year graduation rate at the high school level. We're exceeding that target, and we're above average at federal. Post-secondary readiness takes a look at college, career, and military readiness. There are various metrics that weigh into that. Some of them are test scores. Some of them are completion of CTE courses, certifications through CTE. It can also be ASVAB tests, types of classes that the students take. This is a focus measure for us with regard to making sure that I believe this measure uses the right indicators. And because of that, it really does tell us well if our students are leaving us prepared to take the next step. And it's a place that we have been below target because there were had been some decisions in the district previous that really prevented our students from meeting some of the pieces that were mandatory for getting that. It was almost impossible for the kids to get marked as ready. We've remedied that, and we're now meeting target in that area and above average at the federal level. And credits earned looks at our 9th grade students and asks if you have 28 credits required for graduation, which we do, students would need to be earning 7 credits each year throughout their high school term to be on track for graduation. And this just says, yes, our students are making 7 credits after their freshman year, they're on track for graduation. Any questions?
What would that exceeds? Here, I have to zoom back in line. Exceeds target on graduation credential. Is that because we have some graduating early, or what? What
That-
put you at exceeding?
That's our graduation rate last year was 100%. Okay. And I think the cut for between meeting expectations and exceeding expectations is 94. So if we're above 94, it's going to come in as an exceeds target. And then it takes the next step down to be partially meeting or not meeting somewhere in the 80s and then somewhere in the 70s.
Okay. And then just because I am a notice is good news person, everything looks great. And like commend teachers for that. The below target on achievement, where do you feel like we need to go to get that up?
We actually had a great conversation around some of that in DSC last night, and we have been having a pretty heavy focus on writing and speaking within classes. I think there was some feeling there, and it's going to be a conversation amongst the rest of the staff, but it's probably a metric of two things. It indicates some lack of the system for years that we've been trying to make up with our interventions to that point. But I think it also is probably indicative right now of our not placing a whole lot of emphasis on preparation for tests like the YTOP and the ACT. So there was just an open question, really, if that's something that we want to start making part of our tier 1 instruction, where students in class every day would start to see an ACT type math question, an ACT type science question, so that they're a little bit better prepared for that type of a test when it comes along.
Some questions or comments?
I think we're looking pretty good there. You know, I like seeing those numbers, and that's what you present in other graphs to us. And these scores come from what test?
This is a combination. This is it's called the Wyoming Accountability and Education Act. And each of those metrics is determined in a little bit of a different way. The majority of them come from YTOP. But YTOP's part of it, ACT's part of it, ASVAB is a part of it. The types of classes our kids are taking, graduation rate. It's what the state considers a measure of the health of your school, health of the overall performance.
Great.
Great job.
Yes, did you? Any questions?
No, it looks good.
Okay. We'll move on then. Our next item of business is consent items. Approval of warrants and vouchers, approval of minutes from previous meeting. Approval of administration's recommendation for new out-of-district students. And approval of transportation isolation requests. One of them is new. Jump off. Is there any questions or comments on those? I guess. I need a motion. Or before we can discuss questions. So I would entertain a motion to approve.
We have to do a motion, Charlie.
No, just as a group.
I move that we discuss the consent items.
So you'd move to approve.
Move to approve. Yeah, consent items, everything.
Moved. Is there a second?
A second.
Moved by Deb, seconded by Gina. That opens the floor for discussion of consent items or any questions. Seeing none. All in favor of approval of the consent items, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right.
How many students do we have enrolled this year?
78 right now.
Right now, you say it like that.
What's coming?
Is our ratio of,
Added one this week.
is our ratio of in district and out of district to out of district similar to previous year?
Yeah, I think so.
Just curious. All right, action items. The first item is approval to accept a grant of $45,000 for the heat pump installation from Wyoming Energy Authority.
Heat pumps, air conditioning. The units will be capable of heating and air conditioning. The largest need we've got is air conditioning on the side of the building. So it'll be classrooms from Mrs. Ellenrod's office to library to classrooms as they're out all the way around this hallway and then back to the music room.
Are there This is grant. Oh, then I guess we probably should be discussing that.
All right, I move to approve to accept a grant of $4,000 for heat pump installation from Wyoming Energy Meeting Authority as recommended by the administration.
Actually, I don't want to put that question, that take care of the whole thing. That grant.
No,
How much more are we gonna have to find money for?
I started getting bids. This is a grant that we applied for. Oh, shoot. May of 24. And finally got notice of it last week. And the bids that we've seen so far, this total project to buy the mini splits and have them installed is, it's probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 140 to 150,000.
What are you thinking for funding for the rest of it?
We did budget 100,000 this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we had the capital construction money budgeted toward that.
Are there any stipulations with this grant that could hinder us?
This grant's a similar one that we received maybe 3 years ago that replaced a lot of our lighting in the building with updated LED lights. And the Wyoming Energy Authority's intent with these is that it's an energy savings. So the heat pumps do represent, especially during the winter months, they represent a possibility for energy savings because it's cheaper to heat with those than it is with our boiler system, especially for the incremental changes within the classroom. That's why we were awarded the grant. The responsibilities that we owe the Wyoming Energy Authority taking this grant on is to submit our energy bills for the next 12 months after its project is completed so that they can track that.
Will they want, power bills prior to that so they can do a comparison?
They've got,
They've got,
that was part of the grant application.
Any other questions? Okay, it has been properly moved and seconded, seeing no further discussion, all in favor of approving the grant? Please say aye.
aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, motion carries. Second item, approval of the restructuring of the AD position.
I move that we accept the restructuring of the AD position for the 2025, or the 2025-26 position. And we will review the 2026-27 when we administer the contract for the AD for the next term. But we will approve it as written for this.
I'll second.
Gina Wu, seconded.
Yeah, that's right.
Is there any questions or discussion?
One saw, it's a proposal. And we're splitting these. Exactly for,
It's been a conversation that I've been having with Mrs. Betts for the past couple of years, and been a discussion about splitting this. We've got staff that are wanting to and desire to move into leadership roles, and other staff that have got more responsibilities at this point and are just through conversation willing to mentor as well as support, get us to a point where we've got more capable leaders in the building.
Is that a fair value that she's proposing for
That was-
what she's doing and what the assistant AD would do?
It was a conversation between the two of them. It was decided.
And this is no additional funds. Is that what you said? It just splits?
Yep.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
So Mrs. Betts will stay high school AD, okay. And then who will be junior, I'm sorry.
Mr. Spade,
So, yeah, I think I know I read this week, I apologize for having asked.
But
Okay.
Mr. Spade will also help with high school also when needed.
yeah, as well as others that are always in a position of helping out. Job done.
It's a good bit. Helps to spread the load.
Okay, oh, sorry, it says right there, Jennifer, my bad. See that, I looked at that, yeah. And I'm good with just doing the one school year, as she proposed. We'll be looking at it next year.
We look at contracts every year.
Yeah,
We'll look at that when we,
Yeah, I don't believe to see.
that way we can kind of evaluate.
please, just.
Any other questions or discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Spade, for stepping up.
Dusty, do you need a minute? You ready? Okay. All right, seeing
You're not sitting here fixing my computer.
no
Thank you.
further discussion, we will vote. All in favor of restructuring the AD position for this school year, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item of business, approval of personnel action report.
I move to approve the personnel action report as recommended by administration.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion?
I would like clarification on what personnel we are hiring and for what positions, please.
Go ahead and click it. Got Mr. Ellenrod coming on as a CDL bus driver, Ms. Burrows as part-time maintenance, and Mr. Greer as a certified volunteer volleyball coach.
Thank you.
And seeing no resignations.
Right, yes. Any questions, comments on those? Seeing none, we'll vote. All in favor of approving the personnel action report, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Next item, approval of contract with Premier Speakers Bureau, Inc. for professional development services in the amount of $15,500. We've also discussed earlier.
I move to approve the contract with Premier Speakers Bureau, Inc. for the professional development services in the amount of $15,500 as recommended by administration.
Dusty seconds. Any questions, discussion?
Kind of, can you explain what this all is going to involve? Is this more than one meeting or is it just one meeting or what is it?
Be one PD day. Speaker coming in to help us out with pace of instruction, rigor of instruction, really high-end vocab. We've been sending our teachers out to RCA Academy with the White Belt grant to get this same type of PD. And as of next week, all of our teachers will have been out to that. This speaker is from there, rather than thinking about another round of people going out and seeing what's going on there. It's quite a bit of a cost savings to have them come to us, and just get everybody with a quick shot.
Is this date set in stone?
Yeah.
Are we're welcome
Absolutely.
to sit in on any of it?
I would love for you guys to be here that whole day. It's going to be amazing.
This is paid for by grant.
This is paid for with the White Belt grant. Yeah. And Mrs. Betts had sought some other funding for it. There are purposes behind our housing system that this ties into that. This is going to be an instructional PD, not a housing system PD, but we sought some funding through some other grants, but it turns out we're in a position right now of liquidating that Y-Bill grant, and it's literacy PD. That's the grant purpose specifically.
Will you get a breakdown of kind of the agenda for that day as it gets closer to things? And then if you wouldn't mind sending that to us, so if we can't be here all day, we can
Figure out which time to come in.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
any advice and when you prefer also.
Yeah.
Always welcome. Any other questions? Discussion?
We did for this PD day, moving in this direction. We were able to reallocate a day from our contract with Quicker Connections to move a PD day that we've already paid for from this fall to the next spring. PD, professional development. Teach learning so they can do good things for kids. You get a limited number of them throughout the year. It really is the time that we spend to make sure that we're continuing to move forward, serving our kids best we can.
Okay, any other questions? Discussion?
I like the idea of bringing them in instead of having the boss flying people out. So that's a good move on your part.
Could be good.
This one's been Atlanta.
Maybe more people are able to attend this way, which is nice because some people can't be gone.
And in this is gonna allow us to have staff beyond our direct teaching staff that can have some exposure. We'll be visiting around. We'll certainly extend an invite to attend to Johnson County, Sheridan 1 and 2, if they'd like to have any of their English speakers here. It could be something that we open up to parents. That's right.
Awesome. Any other questions or discussion? Seeing none, we will proceed to vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Good item. Approval of literacy professional development stipend for certified staff.
Okay.
Motion,
I move to approve granting a literacy professional development stipend for the certified staff.
just a second. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Did have a conversation. Yeah, you got it in your email. Sorry, it didn't get linked there. I had a conversation with Trustee Prussack and an hour ago, and she had indicated that there was an opportunity. We provided staff across the board, provided staff with a bonus from last year. And this one's not a bonus. It's directly correlated to the work that teachers have put in outside the classroom, summer work, working some beyond contract day to get us to the point where our literacy scores are right now. We saw that's an area that we're being highlighted by the state for. It's an area where we've seen significant growth over the last 3 years. And it's a spot where we have an opportunity right now. We've got to have the Y-Built grant spent down by the end of the month. This form of expenditure has been approved by the state as meeting the requirements of the grant. And I think it's a spot where we can provide some recognition, provide some seeing that our staff have put in that extra work to get us where we're at in that realm. Trustee Prussack had indicated, and we had a conversation a few weeks ago about possibilities for this grant as we wind it down. I have kind of come to an end of my capability to come up with places where we can continue to purchase professional development materials, et cetera, for the school that are going to be making moves for us right now. So our other option with that would be potentially to ask the state if there are other districts that could utilize the money and we could give money back to the state and other districts could have an opportunity at that. Trustee Prusak wanted me to share that she thought if we were to approve this as something where I contact the state, ask them if there are districts that are in need of the funds, have expressed an interest in more funds, that we could then submit this back to the state and say, hey, let another district use it elsewhere. If the state indicates that they haven't had a request of that nature, then we move forward with it by the end.
Is there time for that process to take place?
Yeah,
The landowner knows, I think, it's that agenda today, and I think when he put it back in there, I forgot to link it. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
So the thought is ask the state if there's another district that could use the money. If there's not, then we give a stipend.
And you can do that. You can do it to your people.
well, that's what we're gonna ask. Oh, yeah, that's already been approved by the state. I asked the state for specific to this exactly. I sent almost the same email that I sent to all of you. I sent that to the state, said, would you approve this? I said, yes.
There's no cost associated with the library.
No. Interlibrary loan, YBL grant, interestingly enough, with title literacy, I've been working with this grant all the way back from before I came here. You cannot use it for libraries.
When I'm literate, not able to read.
You can use it, and we have. We've bought lots and lots and lots of books with this grant. We just bought, I sent out a survey to every staff member, student, everybody in the district, asked them to pick a book. Everybody picked a book, we just bought it. So we just did $1,100 in books for everybody, what they wanted to read. We've done that a couple times. We did it going into the summer and last spring. We had that piece written into this grant specifically. And we actually had this written into the grant specifically to provide professional development stipends for staff to be attending professional developments that we probably could have been utilizing it throughout the grant period when we have staff end up at a conference on a Saturday and they're not being compensated for a Saturday, but they're working. We could have been paying them for that day. So
Which is essentially what we're asking to do here.
yeah, and that's why the state was so quick to say, no problem with approving this spending it is written into the grant. We have it. We just weren't, I'd say we were probably stretching the grant so that we made sure that we had money through the end of it. And there were some opportunities probably to spend it for this almost exact purpose earlier that we didn't take.
Do you think, I guess that's maybe a question you could answer, but do you think if it were given back to the state, do you think it would be reallocated or would just go back into?
Well, if what trustee Prusak had as kind of a solution to that, if we amended the motion to say, check with the state, then I would say, I mean, if they tell us, yes, we've got somewhere to send it, then it'll get sent somewhere. If they tell us no, then do this.
I don't know, I'm kind of like, I think that should stay here. I mean, I did ask for that clarification. That's what we're thinking, but I just feel like maybe it should stay here because look at our results. And like you said, we've had staff working on weekends at one conferences.
I know one of Karis's thoughts was that when she was teaching, typically teachers aren't paid to get their continuing ed. Similar to a lot of licensing that requires continuing ed. Not necessarily compensated for that. So I think that was part of her thought process. So, So
Chainsaw.
Continuing ed stuff. How does that relate to?
I'm sorry, I was in the wrong conversation.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so how, if we talk about continued ed, for CEUs, and you don't get paid for that time, even with nursing, I've got to take CEUs and I don't get paid either.
Yeah.
But to me, this grant and what we're asking to distribute amongst 50 people is because they kind of gone above and beyond, I think.
Yeah, I know our staff go above and beyond every day.
Yeah, and it shows on our, all the graphs you show.
They work an extremely lowly compensated profession with very few fringe benefits and perks.
Wages too.
I believe that we can at least triple the wages. hopefully.
And now you want to do next time.
Damn, that's.
What more do you want, Dusty? Good to see us once a month. What more do you want?
So I have a motion to stipend the staff on the table. I guess the question now is, do we want to make the amendment or do we want to vote as is?
You know, I already spoke how I feel. I want it to be done. Let's see here.
Dusty? Thoughts?
If it's usable that way. You can use it. That way.
I just have a few questions real quick. On our professional development, are there so many, I couldn't find it in the policy, but are our teachers and stuff required so many hours of professional development every year?
Our contracts with our teachers are for 164 days. So they have 148 student contact days and 16 days that we utilize for professional development of some nature. Some of that works out to what I would call work time. Students finishing up grades, parent teacher conferences, end of year data collection, those types of things. And some of it is like we just approved a true professional development day where teachers are doing the learning that it takes to continue to be great in a profession. Beyond that, our teachers are required every 5 years, they've got to renew their license. And in order to renew their license, they've got to have 75 hours of professional development documented or 5 college credits.
Now, if we give them a stipend, does that affect their hours any? Because I know in some, the professional development, if you give stipends, it takes away from the professional development hours because you're being compensated.
Right.
No. Okay.
It's a good question. I didn't realize that. Any other questions or comments? Okay, we will proceed to vote on the motion that is on the table, which is to stipend our staff for their hard work and the evidence that it's working. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving on to discussion items. First one is WSBA. I did not look at the memos, but I can speak to the conference. I think all of us went, except maybe Gina. Were you there one day? Okay, so we were all there last year. I thought it was really valuable. I think it's the presentations from other schools was it's really valuable. And some of the keynotes were really good too. So I'm planning to attend. We can all go again.
Yeah, I'm gonna be at my nephew's wedding in Nashville.
Oh, shoot.
That's an excuse.
But I really enjoy this conference.
And
Who am I
we
gonna go
elected
get drunk
her.
with?
They elected Deb as our voting delegate, so she's not gonna be there.
Oh,
I thought you did so good last year.
well, I would have done it again, yeah. Yeah, so sorry, guys.
Who am I gonna go get drunk with?
I know.
Can we put that on the agenda for next meeting?
Yeah, or we just have trustee present.
We may have. I could.
It wasn't bad. Actually, we discussed all the items and there were quite a few last year, legislative year. But, then when I just went, I had my notes. And you listen to everybody's opinion, which is interesting.
Weren't you also part of something else there?
Well, BOCES has a meeting. So who's our BOCES?
That's a good question. We didn't have both of those for next.
I don't think it's you.
I know it's-
So somebody could go to the meeting. And it's on the agenda for like the first or second day. Tells you the meeting in whatever room at whatever time. Okay. It's just their monthly meeting. They might have somebody try to present something where they're trying.
So we don't
to-
have anybody attending those meetings right now.
No, I'm going to BOCES every month.
Oh, you are, okay.
Yeah, it's just at conference. They have to get together in a room and actually look at each other face to face for the first time
Something like
in
that.
a year. So if we want to be represented at conference, we should probably have our alternate go. Again. She's pointing at you.
Probably can't. I will probably have my small child and go, so. Well, we'll see how it goes.
We do have some staff members that have submitted a conference proposal to present at this conference. And Superintendent Stoltz from Sheridan 2 and I submitted a proposal to present as well.
Very cool.
Haven't heard back on either of those, but pretty good chance to be able to share some of the good things that we've got going at Sheridan Cap.
That's awesome. I hope so. Any other questions? Gina and Dusty, do you think?
You're going.
Try.
Mind blowing last year. Maybe I can understand it a little better this year.
Yeah, I love being with the other board members that are going through the same things or have gone through and figured out. It's just good to visit them and we don't get a chance.
And I would have won 2 prizes last year.
Yes.
No, we had to leave. It was something.
I hate to disappoint, but I think Superintendent Stoltz set the dinner reservation this year at the exact same time as last year, so
Oh, well,
it will likely be repeated.
yes.
Okay. Thanks for community engagement. Community lunch is October 1st. So get your RSVP in if you're going to eat. Hopefully see you all there. Is there any other dates? We need to think about maybe for next meeting, discuss our next listening session.
Okay.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Discuss what?
Scheduling our next listening session. Okay, activity accounts.
Right, I had
Take it away.
some questions both from my community and board with regard to shift that we had in allocating activity accounts. Big shift there was move from allocating those accounts via class to allocation via house. And one of the big moves in that direction was due to the class size and makeup of the junior class this year being such that prom was going to be a very difficult thing to pull together, et cetera. So conversation started there, and it was thought that houses are very likely to continue to have a more balanced number of students involved, and they will have the opportunity to fundraise and then also roll funds, so that funds when a class ends up graduating and they've got funds left in their account, that money was at the end of each year. It's a conversation that just pop up and what should be done with these funds. And sometimes the class had an idea of that direction, sometimes they just left. And we have activity accounts dating back to class 2015, 17, others that hadn't really been providing direction. The houses are an ongoing entity that will be able to alleviate that issue where, and we don't necessarily end up in a position where we maybe over fundraised, where we're thinking that we need to build as much as possible so that we have that position where there's a lot of money left over that maybe we didn't need to take from the community. Couple questions specifically have come up, and we heard tonight with regard to funding for prom and for graduation. Conversation through here, the prom has been costing around $3,000, and it's an easy thing. Each house can chip in $500 to the prom account, and prom can be planned. Second, what's that?
With a delegate from each house.
Yeah, secondary to that, the conversation has been had around how do we go about planning prom. If it's going to continue to be a junior class thing, if it's going to be other type of participation there. And we've seen over the past few years that prom tends to be, it's a responsibility of the junior class, but it ends up being the responsibility of 2 or 3 interested members in the junior class. And the thought was that each house could send a delegate that's interested in planning prom, and they could take part in the prom planning process. And then minimally, we've got 6 people that are dedicated to that, wanted to happen, interested in being a part of it. Similar to graduation, we've taken a look at the past few years, graduation expenses to see just a baseline expense, which graduates have been responsible for, caps and gowns and flowers and other elements of their graduation. And then the past couple of years, the seniors have started a tradition of purchasing a senior gift to finish out the year. And the conversations that I've had to this point, we're at a point that'll be funded. The class is not going to go wanting for anything that's reasonable for their graduation. And they don't have an exact amount on that right now. I think it might be prudent to allow the senior class to begin having discussions around what they'd like the graduation to look like. Just they can know well that they'll be taken care of without worry. And question came up around enterprise accounts and what they were, where they went, et cetera. This is the enterprise accounts that we had previous there on the left-hand side. You can see everything from $40.91 in a Spanish account to $886.41 in a poetry account. That these accounts were ones that no longer were being utilized for the purpose that they were established. And there was also an elementary account. So what I did is take and decide whether this fund was fundraised mostly for a 712 purpose or a K6 purpose. If it was a 712 purpose, I took the amount and allocated it either evenly across houses if it had nothing to do with classes, or in the case of class monies that were for still current classes, not 24 and 25, because those graduates were gone, but for still current classes. If the class of 2026 had 2 e-auspice members, then the money got cut by the number of class members, and then it was allocated based upon where their members fell into the house system. That came out too. And then elementary funds were split between COA and Rocky. What happened when that allocation went through was Top for Kite ended up with an imbalance with regard to that allocation. happens to be that our smallest class also had the most money. Two of those members were in Topper Kite. Rather than that be at issue, we basically allocated the amount of one of those members back into the general pool and split it across the other 5 houses to come out to a more even allocation across the houses. From that, again, we'll take 500 for prom. They'll cover graduation. We'll be in a good spot moving forward with regard to how those funds are raised, the plan for them in terms of community knowing why they're donating money, where they're donating money, and not having the issue of what happens with the defunct account.
Is there other things like? I didn't look or didn't see how much the class of 2025 had.
$1,400.
Okay.
It was about $1,400 left.
2026, is that what you're?
So
Yes.
2025.
That's, yeah, I guess so.
Oh, 2026 was just shy of $4,000.
They had 4 in it, a little bit over. Is what your spreadsheets.
I'm just wondering, like, typically a senior class, if say they have $4,000 left and graduations can cost $2,000, would they like take a senior trip or something that these kids might feel like they can't do? Because,
As I've said in every conversation I've had, the senior class should not feel like they can't do anything.
so how would that process work? They would send just request?
Yeah.
Okay,
And if they can plan a graduation and plan for their year the way that every other class ever has.
and then it would pull back out of the houses, just like put in.
Could
Student or something.
pull out of the houses, or we could look toward establishing a separate way of doing that if the district wanted to fund something. But yeah, absolutely. Class is going to take care.
Now, what happens if one of the houses doesn't have a senior in it?
Then they
Do
won't,
they have to contribute
then they
then?
won't contribute to graduation.
So you'll only have, let's say hypothetically, you'll only have 5 contributing, the donuts.
Sure. Yeah, and actually, for graduation expenses, each house will contribute for their seniors. And it's basically following the money, right? The money flowed into those house accounts following the senior. It can flow back out following the senior. And we can just have that starting a new flow pattern that houses will pay for their seniors to graduate. If they've got 2, then they'll pay for 2. If they've got 1, pay for 1. 0, pay for 0.
Any other question?
And they will be, also doing some fundraising each house.
Yeah, the houses are going to be running the concession stand, have already started. Vast majority of the fundraised money for classes is concession stand money. It's just transition over to houses getting that. I think it's helped also with getting concession stands covered. There's just a little bit more push behind the houses than I think previously. Classes, it felt a little bit more and was treated more as a requirement. The sheet would go around and every class would be signing up and they'd be like, well, we have to do 3, so we're going to do this, this, this. I think this time going around, it was lots of conversation around who gets the best dates and we want to do this, want to do this. I think it has re-energized probably that process.
What if the house doesn't have enough, so they have 3 seniors?
Yeah,
What happens then?
then we have conversation.
What happens?
It's not going to happen this year.
But it might happen sometime. That's what I wanted to know, what happens.
Yeah.
If they don't have a minute to do.
If it happens down the line, 2 things. One, I think that conversation needs to be had with regard to where monies get expended. And if we're spending more than we make, that's a budgeting problem. And we need to talk about budgeting. And then houses could have that. We'll be sure to pull the funds for future years, prom and graduation come out at the start of the year. So if the class went negative to start the year, they'd have the opportunity to build back up to a positive number. The consequence of having a negative account value is probably going to be a point where they're not able to plan activities that they might otherwise want to plan. So they'd have some impetus to get back to raising money. Question is no different for a class than it would be for a house. If you don't have the money, you don't have the money. Secondary to that, I don't know that it's necessarily appropriate for the seniors to be funded most of their own graduation. I think the district ought to be doing it anyway. I think we could maybe move in that direction.
And with the public comments, they were talking about communication and bringing this out to the parents, students and all that. Did we handle that in the best way we could have, by just sending out an email? I mean, you sent it to the board and I know students got it, but.
I think your question has answered itself. Clearly, as has been indicated, more communication is better.
Change is always difficult. This was a big one, you know, but I get it.
I know people took issue with the timing. It's difficult and I sometimes have to balance communicating things. Well, if you communicate something before it happens, oftentimes you're drumming up things for nothing. And so this was communicated as it happened, and there are some pieces clearly with what I shared tonight and others that we could have shared more information.
I can see the house concessions helping because I know just
Yeah,
like in Riley's class, most of them are girls and they all play on the basketball team. They all play on the volleyball team, but they try to pick games that they can serve at. But it's always usually the same 4 kids. The rest of them never bother to come out. So, I mean, Hank and Isaac are in there almost every time.
Which
The
you
girls
could
are in
have
there when they
with the
can, but there's
houses
kids in their class
in
that
the
have
same
never helped with the
ones doing it.
concession.
right.
But absolutely, it at least does give that balance of.
Mhm. So
well,
you
I
got
guess
some-
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
about
you got some
balance.
younger kids in there that can, you know, get in there and help, like
Yeah,
they do, like if they're on the varsity, they go in and help during the JV game and vice versa. So I can see that helping.
And some of the
with people
smaller
helping.
classes, I can see them having difficulty covering.
Yeah.
If you've got 3 or 4 kids. Have a concession. So, guess we'll see how it goes.
I'm going to take the leeway to add an agenda item. I just wanted to have a quick conversation tonight. I asked Chairman Little if we could take a moment. There has been, at a few board meetings around the state, there have been legislators beginning to show up and provide public comment, basically to the effect that the legislature provided an 8.5% external cost adjustment to the funding model for professional as well as non-professional salaries in the legislature last spring. There's been some documentation go around showing like what percentage of that made it to teachers specifically, and quite a bit of negative sentiment around the state, around districts that maybe didn't provide an 8.5% increase to teacher base pay with the 8.5% that was allocated through the external cost adjustment. The entire argument is entirely a fallacy to begin with, because the state, after having provided an 8.5% increase to the base pay for the teachers, brought that number to $44,150 for what they allocate from the state to schools. As you know, our base right now is $48,000. We pay well more than what the state provides us to give to teachers. And we did take the opportunity this year to provide a change in base for both our classified and our certified staff. And we also took some of that money and made a decision that was prudent for our district, that at times when we're uncertain of legislative maneuvering across years, it's difficult to necessarily allocate that in a position where the money will be utilized this year and next year and next year and next year. So this board made a decision to provide some of that 8.5% increase as a bonus. And all of the funds allocated through that process were spent on staff. Just wanted you to know that for this district. And if we happen to have conversations with legislators, that we could ask them to do their homework.
Any questions on that? The last discussion item was one that I brought up, scheduling visits for events. I would like if Mr. Christensen would provide us a list of events at the school that he would like our presence at. And then we could basically sign up. And then if all of us show up, great. But if we can't, then we know we have at least one person there just to have a presence. And that's my ask, I guess, or my proposal. So I thought I would see what you guys thought, and if you would agree, then we can get that. Let's go with it.
I think it's a good idea, because I think I would commit more, need more things to say, oh, I hope I'm there. And then the day comes and I don't go, but if I'm on a list, more likely I'll be there. So I think it's a good idea. It would be exposure.
I'm on this, I might know what's happening.
And we can wear our new name tags.
Yeah, you-
That's what scheduling is helpful for me. And
Yes.
I sometimes will cause trouble in my own life trying to get to something because I don't know if anybody else will be there and I want the board to have a presence. So if we can know that, yeah, Deb will be there and I don't have to kill myself to get there. That's kind of nice too.
In terms of a look, would you feel that taking the important dates off of the bottom of my weekly communication with you, if I highlight or star each one that I feel like we should have somebody at, and then you guys could reply to that with I'll take this one, I'll take this one, if that suffice.
That would, then,
Yeah.
would everybody see the responses from the others?
If we use a reply all, and I know we try to avoid reply all, but
Yeah.
in a scheduling, like, we're not having a discussion. Schedule,
Right.
it's all right.
That's like we scheduled the, doing the warrants every month. I think that worked out great.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think too.
I think that will provide it in a place where you guys are already directing your attention every week. I can even try to update my list with maybe slot them in there next week if somebody's saying.
And it might mean beefing up your list a little bit depending on what you think. Community lunch is on there, but if there's anything else. Like
Yeah.
Panther Claw would
Okay.
be one I would be interested in
Maybe games.
getting us. Yeah,
Yeah.
which I am terrible about looking at the schedule. I did just go through the one that came on the. So that gave the next September and October states, but
It's also on our app.
we. So, well, I might have to tap it.
That's yes through that.
Okay. And I try to
Good
watch
place to go.
Facebook.
I open it every day, so I know what I have for lunch.
And we have access, we can just sign up for that, or do we have to have you guys send us it? Okay.
Come with us a little group in the LAC.
Yep. picture day. Yes. So if you get early notice on retake day.
This is at the App Store.
Okay.
You can search your high school
You
district.
might be too.
It's got our logo. Grab that. It's got some great things. It has all of our, everything that makes it to social media also comes there. But it also has lunch menu. It's got both the district calendar and the athletics calendar.
Is this the same one parents get like notes from teachers and stuff?
Good.
We tried to put that on.
And if I do posts on RealShare, it still gets approved by somebody.
It goes through Mr.
Okay. And if I do one that is stepping on somebody's toes, that's. Cause I almost sent one through on like I think it was a Monday of community lunch. Because it had been,
Oh,
Why
like
back?
if somebody's gonna end up posting the same thing a couple times.
yeah,
Yeah, I think
I
that
don't wanna script the strategy, but I feel like community lunch needs to be blasted out there again closer to
closer to the
the
date.
time, yeah.
We probably need to be careful to protect our kitchen staff, that we're not necessarily blasting it after our RSVP.
And
Which is the.
Fire.
Before. Yeah, I just, I had to go hunting to find out what time, was it 11 or 11:30? And then when I found it, it was back like the 1st of August or something. I don't want to tell people what to do and I can go in and make the post, but I don't.
No, that's perfect. It should probably best not to post it Wednesday morning and say, hey, community lunch today.
Right, yeah, well, nobody will see it.
Aubrey has not.
We have issues already, don't we, Aubrey?
We can always put the qualifier on there. We'd love to see you there, but you can't eat because you did.
yeah.
I can't eat that fast anyways, so
There was a big crowd. There was a big crowd this month. I don't know how many, we got numbers on how many members showed up for lunch.
22, I think it was supposed to be 22, but I think we were 2 or 3 short, actually.
Oh, really? Wow. Is that a,
But we had a couple I don't think so, because we had a couple show up that weren't on the list.
Well, let's just say the lunch count numbers did not add up that day between our count and the final count.
Yeah.
It was like 4 short or something. I don't know if that was kids or community members, to be honest.
sure was a big crowd. It was good.
Oh, yeah, it's
Lunch
just
was
like I have it on
excellent.
there.
Sounds chicken
okay,
fried
we'll get
steak.
back to my.
Yeah.
agenda. Sorry, I got distracted. So does that work for everyone? If you just add some highlights of minutes? Weekly emails, and I have got to get better.
Where is it?
Okay, I think that's all of our discussion items
looking for
from the
August.
board. Gina, do you have anything you would like to share?
I just want to thank Mrs. Osti for being on our, policy committee. She has decided not to continue with that, but she did a great job and overdid a lot. And I'm excited for the school year and looks like it's going to be a good one this year.
So will we replace her with another staff member on the?
In the back row back there.
Uh-oh.
Trustee Prusak has to make that.
The chaplain of all trades.
She and I have had a conversation about it, and we have an employee willing to serve, and Trustee Prusak willing to nominate.
Okay, sounds good. Deb,
I just want to welcome back.
Got volunteers.
Welcome back all the students and staff to the school year and looking forward to another wonderful year and more growth and in all areas. I know you can bring up the math scores and I'm just really excited that there's such positive energy always in this building.
awesome. Dusty? Yeah, it's exciting start to the year. I'm looking forward to all there is to come this year. It was fun getting back to normal. Okay, October board meeting will be October 7th and 8th. You guys all planning to be there? No absences at this point? Okay. Anything to add? Or I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Will said, I would anticipate that, we'll be trying to get to a point that at the October meeting, I don't think we'll be ready to do it early, but October meeting will probably have some of those bids pulled together, potential project thought through for the split system,
For the what?
the air conditioning cooling system.
Also, Mr. Christensen, do we have, I know the AD mentioned the shot clock. That's a hard one to say. Have we, started taking bids on that? Or is there a date that it's required to be in place by?
Yeah, I think it's required by the end of next year. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's required this season and next season, and it's gonna have to be in place.
So we
She-
have a while.
Yeah, she has been in conversation with Daktronics with regard to what that may cost. There's gonna be some expensive equipment, some expensive sort of electrician to install. They're not cheap. It's something that we have contemplated when we did have a larger gym renovation previously. Something we went out to some pretty big sponsors and had some kick in from the community. Something that we're considering for this.
I
So,
was just kind of looking for a timeline as to and if we were starting to look at bids and stuff like that.
yeah, absolutely part of what she's working on. We've got some time.
Are we gonna get bids for a total replacement and just a shot clock?
I have not had that as an intention. We could, I know there was some conversation at a listening session last spring that there was maybe a community desire to go to video boards. I did price those at the time from a couple of schools that had gone that route, and those were $180,000 to put up a video board.
So what the hell is that? Do?
It shows people the score of the game.
Be like the one.
And advertising.
Pretty much like the ones that are.
So those are already paid for, why we need more?
I'm of the same opinion. And so we've got working pretty well.
The kissing.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. We don't want to be on the kissing.
Oh,
And the crowd show
Okay.
when you're on the spotlight.
Is there any other business?
Also, seeing how we painted everything on the, the banners and stuff for the placings and stuff, where did all that stuff go? The banners and the trophies and all that stuff?
Mrs. Betts is working on cataloging those. If you notice the screen out front, hanging right in front of the library, it's got a menu of things where you can access, start to look through the compilation of trophies. She's going to be working through that slowly this year, but all of those are going to be accessible through that, where people can both online as well as if they're standing out there in the lobby, be able to look back through the history. I know right now she's got all the banners from the previous sports, like the basketball team, the volleyball team from each year. Those are loaded into that system. If you touch that board, there's a place to come up with a QR code. You can get all that information on your phone. You can get to it from our website. You can get to it from that video board. So there's going to be a reduced display of the most prominent trophies that stays in the building there. But I think she's going to be working on cataloging all to go back through the history and try to organize it in a way that people might actually be able to access it. One ask that I've had with that, and I'm not sure how we get there, but I would also want to see the class pictures that we've got. I think are pretty special. And it's not something I think any other school I've ever been to has as far back as we do. And not replacing, but I'd like to have those pulled down, scanned really nicely, put into this digital system where we can have that kind of the history of our school history of our graduates in that system as well. And then put back up.
And make sure that everything's kept safe.
How are they right now? They're in Hopewell, right?
Yep.
In Casey, when they built the new school, they put them on, like, when you look at posters in a store or something where it like
Uploaded to.
rolls over.
That's what Midwest is.
So that it doesn't, you know, you don't have to paint the whole wall.
It's like a page that you're turning.
Yeah.
Yeah, Buffalo's had those for years.
That's an option to condense. Possibly. Anything else for this meeting? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
We will be adjourned.